If you were on retreat with me last week, forgive me for revisiting a couple of ideas, but I'll come at it from a different angle as well. And one of my favorite writers, Terence McKenna, very counterculture, uh, unconventional to say the least, a psychoactive drug researcher. He has a wonderful line. He says, "Spot me one miracle, and I'll explain everything else in the universe." And it seems to kind of express the idea of a particular mindset of scientists that, of course, as beautiful science always does, always seeks to break down and explain things and make them digestible to us. And we love our science for that. And yet, science still can't explain how it all got started. And yet, there seems to be a push that sooner or later science will come up with the answer for everything, a theory of everything that finally, once and for all, sanitizes the world of the need for, well, miracles. And as I discussed last week, the one way to see life, well, Einstein himself, a pretty competent scientist, says there are only two ways to view the universe. One is as though everything is a miracle, and the other is as if nothing is a miracle. And it's two different mindsets. And it's almost a miracle that you can have either of those two mindsets. Life can be materialistic, explainable, not altogether unique or original. It just is. Or the universe can be a miracle. And as we might think, well, miracle theology, I wake up and there's a boat in my front yard, et cetera, et cetera. I'm speaking of now the modern day miracles, which generally are a shift in perception. A brutal problem is resolved, a nasty situation is removed, a new understanding comes along. And for all of us, I think we've all had such shifts. Maybe the big problem is you drank every single day for 20 years and then on one day you stop. Or from a whole nother angle, you have gigantic family issues and then something happens, somebody turns around and there's a harmony is restored. Or you have terrible financial difficulties and then suddenly there's a breakthrough. Or your health is an issue and then suddenly something happens that it's better. And these are the daily miracles. And I believe we do live in the age of miracles. And I think, like a lot of us, in my bathroom, I have my reading. I won't really elaborate beyond that. And I'll grab a spiritual book. And of course, I do have my Bible there. And today I dipped into it for a moment and just I do what Emmett Fox says. I flip through and I came to a place where in the New Testament, I can just as easily find the Old Testament, depending on where the pages go. But there's a part in the New Testament where the Pharisees, those officious scribes, were watching Jesus and the apostles, and they were munching out on some yummy corn on the Sabbath. And the the Pharisees weren't terribly happy with this. They were somewhat upset and they were complaining and yammering about that. And then in the next scene, somebody walks by with a dead kid and the mother is wailing, and justifiably so. And Jesus is so moved by this, he's brought to tears and he says, wait, just a second. And he brings the child back to life. And there's an inexpressible joy and rather awe and wonder on the part of the Pharisees, who were just moments ago complaining about eating corn on a given day of the week. So this miraculous mentality, either the people that wrote that in the Bible were absolutely flipping, completely insane, and they should be disregarded and dismissed at all cost, or something's going on. Now, if you read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, there's stories like that and beyond that that are just, Yogananda was absolutely clinically, delusionally insane beyond all measure, or he had access to states of mind, experiences, and mentalities which are available to us, but we don't know yet. And maybe there are some kids who are in the 6th grade and we're still in the 2nd grade. But what it is, this week we're talking about the mentality that affords and accommodates miracles. It doesn't mean you have to do them yourself, Greg. It just means I do my best to put myself in a humble, open-minded, willing, ready position to let whatever the next miracle come in, let the next miracle come in, so that whatever the problem is, whatever the intractable difficulty is, whatever sort of reduction or limitation that I've placed on reality is suddenly, miraculously, yes, swept away and a new world comes into view. So I pray a miracle for you this week, and the miracle will be facilitated by our participation with tall-minded thinking, a willingness for miracles, and to realize that yes, in fact, we do live in one every single moment. See you tomorrow.